Fitting Tunnel to Towers Foundation, September 22nd at Hunting Hawk Golf Club. To secure your foursome, go to WRVA.com.
Rich Herrera loves this country and isn't afraid to say it.
This is Richmond's Morning News with Rich Herrera on News Radio WRVA.
All right, it's 7:33 this morning on News Radio WRVA. Thanks for joining us on the Voice of Virginia. You want to comment on anything we do, 833-804-1140. Today is 804 Day, August 4th, 2026, year of our Lord. And we're asking you as we celebrate everything about this part of the world, what is the best thing about living in the 804? What's the best thing about Central Virginia? In fact, let's go ask that of a man that's asking to go back to Congress. He's a former Navy SEAL. He's a friend of this program. He's a member of Congress right now, wants to go back in today's primary day, so he's going to ask you for your vote to give him the nomination to run in November. John McGuire joining us here for an exclusive interview on News Radio WRVA. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning, Rich. Never a dull moment in politics these days. It's been 18 months or so helping President Trump make America great again. It seems like 18 days we've been going 200 miles an hour, 5 a.m. to midnight every day, and God willing, we'll win this primary and defeat the communists in November.
Okay, let's back up for just a second. I'm going to get to the primary, but today is 804 Day, and one of the questions we're asking everybody is, what's the best part? What do you love? What do you tell people about this part of the country in 804, Richmond, Goochland, your entire district? What do you tell people when they ask you, hey, tell me about your hometown, John?
Well, I mean, I can tell you the district is a gateway to the Bill of Rights. Thomas Jefferson, Patrick Henry, James Madison, James Monroe, Jack Jewett, the Civil War, we came back together in Appomattox County. But this is Virginia is the home of presidents. And in our district, in my hometown, our country was basically formed from Virginia, from this area. And it's just hardworking, salt of the earth people, a lot of farmers, a lot of people that work every day. And, they deserve to be able to live, work, and raise their family in peace. So, I was born here in the district, and I love it, and it's just a huge honor as a military veteran to be able to represent the place where I grew up.
When you go out and talk to people, because I know you're omnipresent, I've seen some of the social media posts like John McGuire is not he doesn't respond to his constituents. He's not out there, which I know is complete garbage, because every time I turn around, I see you somewhere else in your district. One of the nice things is about being in Virginia, it's not that difficult for you to get home, and I know you do it as much as possible. What are people telling you on the campaign trail right now?
Well, people tell me, they ask me, so I have 24 counties, and people in Mecklenburg County will say, do you live in Mecklenburg? And I say, well, why do you say that? And they say, we see you more than any other politician in Mecklenburg. They say, do you live in Hanover County? I say, well, why? Certainly my family had a farm there since before the Revolutionary War. But, I'm basically in Louisa County and Fluvanna County and Charlottesville and everywhere else. I don't want to be the guy that you vote for, you never see or never hear from. So we are working hard. When we're in the district, we're working hard. We're in D.C. But I love our country. Our country is worth saving. It's worth dying for. And as a military veteran, I see this as a way to continue service. So I'm going to give it all I've got. I truly believe our children have less freedom than we had growing up. And so I'm going to do everything I can to change that.
Being there in the House of Representatives and wanting to go back, what's something that you learned? What's some unfinished business that you have to get done? I know you and I were talking about how do we make the American dream affordable for people, and some of the taxes that are overburdening, and people that are having a hard time finding that first home. I know that's been a big thing that you worked on, but what unfinished business? Why does John McGuire need to go back to D.C.?
Well, President Trump has got to have a team that he can trust. We need to be rowing in the same direction. Our country was hanging over the cliff, and by the grace of God, we're pulling our country back over the cliff and getting it back on track. But we got to have a team that works together. It's not about me. It's about we. And a lot of these folks, they seem to be on the me team, and in the military, that gets everybody killed. But I want to make, housing more affordable for the younger generation. And what I mean by that is, I told President Trump, I said, it's kind of hard to be a socialist if you own property. He said, you got that right, because socialism and communism take your property. and a very small percentage of people under 30 own a home nowadays. So my American Dream Act would say that if you're age 65 or older and you sell your property to a first-time buyer, which is 98% of the time somebody under age 32, there's a 5-year moratorium on capital gains. You know, if you graduate college or trade school, you can't afford $1 million house, but you might be able to get a $200,000, $300,000 fixer-upper, start a family, build a future. So I'd like to finish that job. I'd like to help with policies that make us energy dominant, to make sure that our law enforcement and our military are taken care of. You know, I've got a bill out there that's becoming very popular. And I'd like to finish it. And I've got messages from all over the country on this one. It's called FAFO. And your audience might know what FAFO stands for. It stands for Felony Accountability for Federal Obstruction. It basically says, you know, the Constitution says you can peacefully assemble on a sidewalk. But if you're blocking roads, blocking ambulances, blocking fire trucks, impeding law enforcement,
Right.
That's domestic terrorism. And it allows the U.S. attorney to step in and prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. Imagine if your little girl or little boy was in an ambulance and you got 15 minutes to get him to the hospital or it's too late. And some political protesters are blocking the road and your child doesn't make it to the hospital in time. That is domestic terrorism. That's outrageous, unacceptable, and we've got to hold them accountable. And I've had law enforcement people all over the country say, John, this is exactly what we need. Because this lawlessness, especially in Democrat cities, people see it and they copycat it, and it's getting worse. You see the team takeovers. If you have no accountability, it gets worse. And it goes back to live, work, and raise your family in peace. There's nothing peaceful about that.
John, I'll go down this rabbit hole with you a little bit. To me, it's pure intimidation. So if I'm standing there, like there's people that gather on West Broad, on the West End here in out towards Shore Pump, and they're out there every Saturday, and they've got some dopey signs, and I'll drive by, but they don't intimidate me. I mean, I don't mind them. They have their right to have free speech. But I've also driven through where I have people taking over the streets, and it is intimidating. And I have to think twice. Oh boy, do I roll my window up? Are they going to attack my car? When you have to think that whether I could drive down a city street in America and not be attacked by a mob of people that are protesting, that's not right.
Right. There's a big lack of accountability. And the Democrat Party nowadays, I mean, they've gone straight communist. It's power and control. And they have this philosophy based on their laws that prove it. They believe that police are bad, criminals are good. They don't care about the victims. You know, the people that want to defund the police are the first ones to call the police. And, you know, I ran into a woman in D.C., for example. She got punched in the back of the head by a homeless woman and knocked her out. A police officer arrested the woman that punched her. And 3 hours later, a detective called the victim and said, hey, you know that woman that punched you in the back of the neck and knocked you out? She was just having a bad day. She didn't really mean it. And we put her back on the street, but she's not going to harm anybody else. It's a revolving door for criminals. And 98% of the criminals that are released commit the same crime. And so they just keep creating more Virginia victims, more American victims. So this lawlessness, I think it's by design. And I have a question I keep asking. When are the Democrats going to stop being for them and start being for us? And what I mean by that is, you know, open borders. 80% of Americans believe we need a secure border. But if the Democrats get power again, they're going to give them an open border to come continue to invade our country. 80-90% of Americans believe only boys belong in boys sports and only girls belong in girls sports. But if the Democrats get power again, they're going to be for them to put boys back in girls sports. And I'd say 80% at least Americans believe you should have a photo ID to vote. But the Democrats are people that don't agree with that. So I don't know when they're going to stop being for them and start being for us. And I mean us, I mean we the people. America first.
7:43 this morning here on News Radio WRVA, conversation with John McGuire, representative from Virginia. Today is primary day, so he's out campaigning, and well, he's always campaigning. I always see him out places standing on the side of the road like, is that John McGuire? Yep, there's John McGuire. John, you're almost like the joke that they have up in New Hampshire. Well, what did you think of the presidential candidates? I don't know. I've only met them 4 times. We'll see when I meet them again. Like, people see you everywhere. Hey, what'd you think of John McGuire? I don't know. I've only talked to him 5 times in the last month because he seems like he spends all his time back in his district, which people would think is odd because most Congress people don't do that. So God bless you for that. Let me give you the nightmare scenario. What would the country be like if the Democrats capture the speaker's position and they become the majority in the House of Representatives? What would happen?
Well, look no further than what's happening in New York City right now. The communists, they say socialism. Socialism and communism are pretty much the same thing. They call it socialism so they get power, and then it's communism. It's tyranny. It's a boot on your neck. It's government control. They want to separate you from God so they can give you your rights and take your rights away. I'll tell everybody listening, when the Berlin Wall went down, I didn't see one person run into the communist side. They all ran to the freedom side. Our country was founded on freedom in the church. Your God-given rights, whether you're in the minority or the majority, you always have a voice in America. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And we got to fight to make sure future generations have that freedom. That's why I'm doing this.
John, you're right. How many people will run from Costco? Oh, I don't want to go to Costco. I want to go stand in the Soviet bread lines, right?
Yeah, not me. Not me. And what's great about this country is, you may know, I was abandoned when I was 5 years old. The police found me and my sister. We were together in the first foster home and then separated. And, 9 different elementary schools, all that. But by the grace of God, my grandfather, grandmother rescued us and raised us till my dad got sober. But this is a statement we had that is true today. We got to keep it true. And I always say, isn't it great? We live in a country where a man or a woman can work hard and achieve just about anything. I was abandoned, but I ended up becoming one of the youngest snipers in Navy SEAL history and served all over the world. And now I'm a member of Congress. I literally started with nothing. And there's so many examples of that in our country, where that if you work hard, don't play the victim, fall down, get back up, fall down, get back up. You can achieve just about anything in this country. That's the American dream. And that does not work in communism. They put a boot on your neck, and they have absolute control and power over what you think and how you think and everything else.
John McGuire, today's primary day. People, make sure you get out and vote for the primary, and then we'll have the general election coming up in November. John, thank you very much. Keep up the good work. I'll catch up with you.
All right, God bless you, and tell your friends to vote.
All right, thank you so much. John McGuire joining us here on News Radio WRVA. Pretty remarkable man. And I will tell you that it is funny that you see him everywhere. I've seen social media posts. John McGuire, he doesn't answer any of his constituents. I see that guy everywhere. In fact, I've walked in places with him before. Half the tables get up and say, "Hey, John, let me tell you about this." It's pretty amazing. So today is primary day. I know there's not a big buzz about it here, but I will be going to vote after the program. I hope you made sure you either did early voting or you'll get out and vote this afternoon. All right. Let me remind everybody that today's program